So, this episode is going to be all about Socrates, and it is also just first of all going to be about a story with Socrates, a pretty amazing one and a pretty funny one because it reminded me of something, which was the completely same thing, which is pretty interesting, But there's going to be more after the intro, as always. And now it's actually working. In the first episode that I've been recording today, it wasn't working. And with that being said, hello, welcome back to the next episode of the Self-Development with Tactics podcast. And I'm pumped for this episode. This episode's going to be hopefully amazing. It's hopefully going to be fucking good. But yeah, before we even go into the episode, I do just want to point out something. In the description, you're having, wrong side, you're having two things. First of all, having the notes, and you're second of all, having the music. The notes. As you then later in the episode can see, I'm having some highlights on certain web pages just so for me that I'm just knowing what to talk about and what to not talk about and what was interesting and whatnot. These notes or these highlights, they're going to be down in the PDF, and the PDF is going to be linked down in the description. So if you just want to read the PDF, which is going to be basically everything that I'm going to talk about, basically everything, but I'm of course going to add some things, then please check out the PDF. It is linked down. It is for free. It is a PDF, and it is on a Google Drive's page. So there's not going to be any ads, any surveys. There's not going to be anything. And there is some add background music link, which is also going to link to a Google Drive file or Google Drive folder. And in this folder, there are, I think, 5 or 6 files. I actually do have to look that up because I never ever know. And these files are meant as background music because I think that having background music in my videos would actually be something pretty cool. And also if you're able to use it in the podcast as well. It would make the whole experience a little bit more interesting. But the thing is, some like it, some don't like it. I think that's pretty cool, but it would also handicap me in my post-production. Therefore, if you want to add it, there are certain tracks from bright to hip-hop to whatever. Please check them out, please review them, and please maybe add them to the whole experience of the podcast. But yeah, this is it quite. And let's head Let's head into the episode, And nothing. That's amazing. It's really amazing. But there you have it. So this is the first one that we're going to go through today, and it is the short story. And this is a really amazing short story. I'm going to be able to just read it in a pleasant way, in a good way, in a way that you're hopefully also going to enjoy, but we'll see, We will see. So here it is. Is everything working as I want it to work? So let's head right into the short story. Let's have a look at it. I hope it is fine like this. I hope you can also read it if you want to read it along with me. So yeah, and for all the podcast listeners, I'm not going to start reading. This is a short motivational story of Socrates and his powerful teachings. He was a great Greek philosopher and one of the founders of Western philosophy. But we're going to talk about that later on as well. We're going to inspect his Wikipedia page and see if there's something interesting. And there actually was something interesting. And I'm really willing to point that out. And we are maybe also going to go through some quotes of him. But we're going to see, Once there was a young boy, he was very lazy and reluctant to work in progress. His mindset was negative towards life. One day someone tells him to go and get some teachings from the great philosopher Socrates. Then a young boy found the way to reach Socrates, and he asked Socrates how he could get wisdom, prosperity, and also success. Socrates replied to him, "Do you really want it? And are you willing to devote yourself for that?" The young boy said to him, "I want to be successful in my life, and I can't do anything for that." Then Socrates told him, "Okay, you have to come to me next day." Next day, he took the young boy to a river and ordered him, "Go under the water and stand straight in the river until I will not call you back." The boy followed the order of Socrates. Then suddenly, Socrates pushed and drowned the boy's head under the water with his full force. Held it there until the boy gasped for air to breathe, then relaxed and released his head. The boy was unconscious for some time. When the boy regained his composure, he asked him, "What did you desire most when you were underwater?" "I wanted air badly, to breathe," said the boy. Socrates said to him, "When you want wisdom and success as much as you wanted air when you were immersed in the water, you'll receive it." The boy was astonished by Socrates' teaching, and now he knew that the intense desire is the important key to become successful in life. And that's it. And there's also kind of a part, like a powerful lesson of the story, which is kind of the lesson explained then. But I think I'm gonna just do not have to explain. I think it's kind of clear, If you're really willing to just have something, then you need to be passionate about it, and you need really to also work for it, and also need the energy for working for it, which is going then in the end evolve or involve some passion, because are you going to be able to just work on something if you're not passionate about it? Maybe not. I don't think so. Some kind of, because it's going to take a lot of fucking pain, as literally plain pain in such a way, But the funny thing about it, which is kind of also the reason why I'm actually going through it, is that I've once been listening to a Les Brown motivational speech. You might know Les Brown. He's a pretty popular and also, I would say, relatively famous motivational speaker. And in one of his speeches, I think it's been actually a YouTube video. I don't know if it was a dedicated speech, but it might have been just a part of it, But it was definitely part of one of his speeches that he's given in his lifetime. And then he said quite the exact similar way. If you're having asthma or something like that, I kind of do not. I'm not really able to recall the whole one, or maybe if I'm just recalling it correctly. The thing is, if you're having asthma or if you're having some allergic reaction to something and you're not able to breathe, there is nothing that you're thinking about than just getting the air. There's nothing. You're not going to think about the money. You're not going to think about just the next TV show there is that you want to see. You're not going to think about the football game there is on the weekend. You're only going to think about breathing in the air. And he then also said, if you want the success as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. Actually, I think these were his exact same words. Pretty funny. Like, just because I've been listening to so many motivational speeches, and especially Les Brown's ones, it's just really in my head. Like, they just are in my fucking head. It's insane. It literally is insane. Sometimes it's kind of I'm not feared of it, but it's really fucking crazy. Like, indeed, having this in my mind so fucking bad, it's interesting. It really fucking is. But what's going on today? But let's head into the Wikipedia page of Socrates, which is also pretty interesting to really be honest here. So Socrates, as they say, was living between 470 to 399 BC and was a classical Greek Athenian philosopher credited as one of the founders of Western philosophy and as being the first moral philosopher of the Western ethical tradition of thought. So he's basically been a really, really important person up to this point in time. I know if you haven't been hearing of him or if you haven't heard of him, then I don't know where the fuck you're living, basically. But he's a really fucking important guy for philosophy, but I would also say just also in political ways, because he was also a politician, if I remember correctly, but I'm not quite sure about that. So he was definitely a really important person in general. Like, I think also for the whole history of this planet and also humanity, and what he was able to give to people is just insane. And you just also have to think about the fact that he did that. I don't know if he anticipated that he is going to be one of the most important persons in the history of at least philosophy. Maybe he's also going to be one of the most important and most astonishing persons in the history of humanity. I don't know, like, this is something that we could be arguing about, but I don't know if he was just really just up to that. If he just really was thinking about that. I don't know. I don't really fucking know. It would actually be interesting, but, if I would be imagining, and I would actually imagine this could somehow be the case for Seth Godin, because I would say that Seth Godin is such an incredibly interesting, intellectual, and important personality, and I still kind of wonder why he's so not famous. Still some people don't know about him, even if they are marketers and even if they're just really into just marketing and social media and whatever. So it's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting that he's so known on one hand and so unknown on the other hand, which, I mean, like, it is what it is. It is what it is. Hemlock. What is hemlock? The hemlock or poison. Oh yeah, okay, I see. So where is the next one? As Socrates did not write down any of his teachings, secondary sources provide the only information of his life and thought. The sometimes contradictory nature of these sources is known as the Socratic problem, or the Socratic question, which is actually something that's really, really, really interesting, that it has actually been the case that he didn't write down anything, which is something that I can understand. I'm not a big writer either, or either, depends on what you're willing to say. I know, but but it's pretty interesting, especially because he's a philosopher, and I assume that there might have been some stories and whatnot. Like, it really is interesting. And something that I'm also not quite sure about is if he was actually like that buff, because I actually don't think so. I don't know. I actually really don't know, but I don't assume and I don't think, but I could be wrong. I could easily fucking be wrong. And there's a lot of other shit that I'm gonna skip there, which is like his Wikipedia page is like I don't know, 50 yards long, or it at least feels like that. He's also served for the military, some kinda. For a time, Socrates fulfilled the role of hoplite, participating in the Peloponnesian War, a conflict which stretched intermittently over a period spanning 431 to 404 BC. The fuck? Which is like quite 30 years. Several of Plato's dialogues refer to Socrates' military service. So if you don't know, Plato is one of Socrates, or has been one of Socrates' students. Yeah, it's called students. Death, which is also something that's quite interesting, because he was poisoned, or he drank the poison, or I think he was executed, some kind of. Let's see. Socrates' death is described at the end of Plato's Paedo, whatever, although Plato was not himself present at the execution, so it has been an execution. As to the veracity of Plato's account, it seems possible he made choice of a number of certain factors, perhaps omitting others in the description of the death, as the Phaedo description does not describe progress of the action of the poison, which was noted down in Gill 1973. In concurrence with modern descriptions, Paedo states after drinking the poison he was instructed to walk around until his legs felt numb. After he laid down, the man who administered the poison pinched his foot. Socrates could no longer feel his legs. The numbness slowly crept up his body until it reached his heart. Socrates chose to cover his face during the execution. So he was first of all poisoned and then executed. My question now is, who the fuck is doing that? Like, okay, I can execute somebody and I could fucking poison somebody, but why should I be doing fucking both things at a time? Yeah, it's not my decision, unfortunately. According to Phaedo, Socrates stated that all of philosophy is training for death. Kinda. I can just assume that. I really can. And there's also a section with his last words. And I also wonder, how do you know? How do you know his last words? Like, the guy that executed him, did he just remember them after just, I don't know, maybe 10 years, 50 years, whatever? So Socrates' last words are thought to be ironic. But actually be pretty nice, kinda. Or sincere. So ironic says chill, or C.chill, also in 1973, and sincere is what J. Crooks in 1998 says. Socrates speaks his last words to Crito. There are several different translations, and there are 3 of them stated here or listed here. Crito, we owe a rooster to Asclepius. Please don't forget to pay the debt. Crito, we owe a cook to Asclepius. Pay it and do not neglect it. Crito, we owe a cook to Asclepius, or whoever he's pronounced, I don't know. Make this offering to him and do not forget. If this is your last words, it's it's either really fucking funny because it's ironic and because it is like it actually just imagine it. Like, you do just have to fucking imagine how this would actually be like. Okay, we're just in debt. Did you know that? But there's also something else that's pretty interesting, which is the refusal to escape. Socrates turned down Crito's pleas to attempt an escape from prison. Xenophon and Plato agree that Socrates had an opportunity to escape, as his followers were able to bribe the prison guards. There have been several suggestions offered as reasons why he chose to stay. And the first one is, he believed such a flight would indicate a fear of death, which he believed no true philosophers has. Or actually have, some kind of, isn't it? If he fled Athens, his teaching would fare no better in other country, as he would continue questioning all he met and undoubtedly incur their displeasure. The third one is, having knowingly agreed to live under the city's law, he implicitly subjected himself to the possibility of being accused of crimes by its citizens and judged guilty by its jury, or whatever. To do it otherwise would have caused him to break his social contract with the state and so harm the state, an unprizable act. Because if I remember correctly, the state as such was a really incredibly important thing for Socrates. I don't exactly know why, but I'm having a funny feeling that I've once been learning about it or I've once been hearing about it. I actually don't fucking know where I'm having it from, but pretty interesting and pretty cool and pretty nice to hear some kind of as well. And the fourth one is, if he escaped at the instigation of his friends, then his friends would become liable in law. Oh, I see. Yeah, it's also pretty big factor. The full reasoning behind his refusal to flee is the main subject of the Credo, inasmuch as Socrates drank hemlock willingly without complaint. having decided against fleeing, has suggested in truth Socrates chose to commit suicide. R.G. Frey has suggested in truth Socrates chose to commit suicide, which is something that I do not assume actually, but yeah, Socratic Method, which is, to be honest, the Socratic Method or Socratic Method, however it is actually pronounced, it is something that I've been talking about as well, but I didn't know that it is the Socratic Method, or however you're pronouncing it. But here is what it is. To solve a problem, it would be broken down into a series of questions, the answer to which gradually distills the answer a person would seek. The development and practice of this method is one of Socrates' most enduring contributions and is a key factor in earning his mantle as the father of political philosophy, ethics, and moral. And I do know it's actually not the last one, but if I'm talking about asking why until you know the root cause of something, I guess it is somehow the exact same thing. Not quite sure, but I guess. I really guess it is, because if you're just being like, well, I am really unhappy. Why are you unhappy? Because I'm not having any money. Why are you not having any money? Because I'm just spending everything on dumb shit. Why are you doing that? Because I value other people's opinions and how I seem to look to other people. I really value that pretty high. Why are you valuing that? Because I'm having low self-esteem. So, why are you having low self-esteem? Because my mother punched me, or my mother was doing something in my parenthood, I was abused, whatever. Why were you abused? Blah, 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 blah. Then in the end, you're gonna get to the root cause, which I think in this series, first of all, it would have been like caring about other people's opinions too much, then being having no self-esteem or just no confidence or whatever you might think about, and all those things, which is really incredibly amazing, and really incredibly valuable as well, in terms of it really can make change fucking happen, it really can make change fucking happen. It's really, really incredibly powerful, at least as I'm thinking about it, as I think, but what I think. And there is also a bunch of paradoxes. And the first one is, no one desires evil, which I assume as well, actually. The second one is, no one errs or does wrong willingly or knowingly. I'm not quite sure about that. All virtue is knowledge. And the last one is, virtue is sufficient for happiness. Many of the beliefs traditionally attributed to the historical Socrates have been characterized as paradoxical because they seem to conflict with common sense. The following are among the so-called Socratic paradoxes. No one desires evil. I would say so actually as well. Maybe it's just because I'm thinking positively about everyone. But yeah, knowledge. The statement, I know that I know nothing, I know that I don't know, I know that I know nothing, is often attributed to Socrates based on a statement in Plato's Apology. And it is a pretty good one. Actually, if you're thinking about it, if you're just immersing yourself into this whole thing, then you might be like, well, it is actually the truth. It is actually what it is. And this is probably going to be the last one, even though, this is going to be the last one, which is virtue, which is something that's incredibly important for me, especially because he says, or it says, whatever, Socrates believed the best way for people to live was to focus on the pursuit of virtue rather than the pursuit, for instance, of material wealth. And there's also a bust of Socrates in the Palermo Archaeological Museum to see. But yeah, this is gonna be the end of the episode. So I wish you the best health, happiness, and also success, and I also hope that you're going to remind yourself and you're going to be remembered, which basically means your legacy, which basically means just being a good person, and then also going to be remembered as a good person, Makes sense, right? It actually does make sense, it really does. 3 other questions that I'm having for you are, why are you here? What are you trying to change? And what is bothering you the most? These 3 are hopefully going to show you your purpose and maybe even a business idea. Hopefully. Because most often businesses started out with solving something that really pissed them off in the first place. So yeah, and with that being said, I wish you the best. Stay cool, stay happy, stay healthy, and maybe you're gonna subscribe to the podcast and or to the YouTube channel, because I would appreciate it, and maybe it's helping you as well, But yeah, gonna see you the next time.